Acrid! Acrid is a highly versatile hybrid character whose main strengths and weaknesses are determined by the way his player chooses to play him. From a highly mobile powerhouse to an insanely fast rushdown character to even that of an oppressive mid to long range zoner, Acrid's freeform character mechanic allows for a character truly befitting the roguelite he hails from. Of course, as strong as he can be built in certain areas, there will be things that Acrid will never be able to escape from, namely a large body with a melee range that's only average at best, as while he has some strong projectile options, they cannot be used to confirm kills. As an Acrid player, it's up to you to adapt to the flow of a match and build yourself accordingly, carefully analyzing your opponent's playstyle and choosing what would fit best in a given situation. Take whatever you can get and make it work for as long as you possibly can, for if you don't, you'll quickly end up losing your run. Acrid is a large, monster-like character, his size being similar to that of Samus. A macabre, poison-spewing creation of old, Acrid is designed as Risk of Rain's melee range hybrid character, as depending on what items the player picked up, he can be built as either a purely physical tank, or a ranged nightmare that can whittle down and destroy entire hordes of enemies without ever getting close to them. This unique playstyle mixes well with his unique physical appearance, with Acrid being the only beast-like character that's playable outside of the mysterious heretic. Acrid will carry a lot of these basic attributes over to Smash Bros. As well, with his only weapons being his ferocious claws, caustic bite, and destructive poison abilities, save for potential power-ups that Acrid can pick up along the way. In terms of mobility options, Acrid has 2 jumps, along with the ability to wall cling and crawl. Acrid's character mechanic is designed to be one of the most intricate character mechanics seen throughout the Smash Bros. Series, all while exploring a concept I've wanted to try with a fighter for a very long time. But first, before we get to the heart of it, let's discuss Acrid's claim to fame in Risk of Rain: poison. Regardless of how the player chooses to play Acrid, poison will always have a part to play in his game plan, this caustic substance inflicting opponents hit by it with a powerful damage over time effect. Staying active for a total of 5 seconds, this poison will quickly rack up percentage, and it even has the potential to stay active indefinitely if the player constantly applies another dose. But do keep in mind that this effect will end the moment Acrid takes damage, so it's best to use it from a range as opposed to up close. Of course, while poison is useful, this is only Acrid's unique mechanic in Risk of Rain, but that alone doesn't bring the feel of Risk of Rain to Smash Bros. It's time to talk about the main mechanic behind Acrid's character design, the Spoils of Petrichor 5. As a roguelite, Risk of Rain sports a huge variety of locations to explore, enemies to kill, and most importantly, a huge variety of items for players to pick up and use. These items will greatly improve the player's chances of survival, stacking indefinitely and turning a basic character into anything from an unkillable monster to a hyper damage dealing menace that can clear out a huge amount of enemies at once. As this is the heart and soul of not only Risk of Rain, but roguelites as a whole, it's only fitting that Acrid gains access to these wonderful treasures in Smash Bros. By pressing up taunt, Acrid will dig up a chest from the ground and open it up. This chest featuring 2 different items that Acrid can choose from by moving the analog stick and tapping the A button. These items will be randomized each time the chest is opened, and while this sounds enticing, these aren't simply given away for free. Each item will require a certain amount of currency to purchase, this currency being racked up as Acrid deals damage to his opponent. Bigger damage will result in bigger payouts, but Acrid will also receive a massive amount of currency from his damage over time effects. This currency will be tracked by a bar above Acrid's character icon, maxing out at $9,999, though chances are you'll never live long enough to see it reach that number, seeing as the player will lose 1/3 of their currency each time they are KO'd. Now that you understand the basics of how the Spoils of Petrichor 5 works, let's now talk about the items that Acrid can acquire from this chest. There are 4 different types of items that Acrid can acquire, these being regular items, legendary items, lunar items, and equipment items. In total, Acrid can hold up to 5 items at any given time, with legendary items counting as 3 items and lunar items not adding to the total. Although, to compensate, each of these items will have a negative attribute attached to it. Equipment items will also not add to the total amount of items, but instead change the attributes of Acrid's down special, with Acrid only being able to hold a single equipment item at a time. While that's the case, equipment items are the only items that can be swapped at any point in the match, as the only way Acrid can lose his other spoils is by losing a stock. In total, there are 17 items the player can choose from, with there being 5 regular items, 4 legendary items, 4 lunar items, and 4 equipment items. And here's how they work. Starting with the regular items, Acrid can acquire either a focus crystal, a backup magazine, a goat's leg, a soldier's syringe, and a bison steak, with each of these items stacking up to 5 times. The focus crystal will increase Acrid's damage against those that stand within a certain range of him, with each crystal increasing his overall damage. While it's mainly designed to buff his melee damage, it can also increase the damage of projectiles if the opponent is standing too close. The backup magazine will allow for Acrid to use his neutral special, Neurotoxin, in rapid succession, with each magazine allowing for another shot to be fired in a row. Stacking this item will greatly improve Acrid's ranged combat, giving him the potential to become a full-on zoner if he's using the right equipment. The goat's leg will improve Acrid's mobility, both in the air and on the ground. Stacking this item can greatly improve Acrid's ability to either rush down or play a hit-and-run game, shifting Acrid from one of the slowest characters to one of the fastest. The soldier's syringe will improve Acrid's frame data and allow for him to perform quicker melee attacks. Stacking this item will greatly improve his ability to combo and string together kills, and it's especially deadly if mixed with the goat's leg. Finally, there's the bison steak, this item increasing Acrid's weight when picked up. If stacked, this will make Acrid considerably harder to kill, with a max stacks of bison steaks making Acrid outweigh Bowser. Next, there's the legendary items. These items can randomly spawn in any chest, though their odds will increase as Acrid takes damage. At 100% damage, Acrid will gain a guaranteed legendary spawn the next time he opens the chest. From this list, Acrid can acquire the defensive microbots, the headset version 2, the sentient meat hook, and the brilliant behemoth. Defensive microbots will, when picked up, instantly delete all small projectiles that get close to Acrid. This includes attacks like Mario's Fireball, Flox's Blaster, and Pikachu's Thunder Jolt. All of this allowing for Acrid to deal with keep away and ranged attackers more effectively. While that's the case, these bots will not destroy larger projectiles like Lucario's Aura Sphere or Rob's Laser. The headset version 2 will greatly increase Acrid's jump height, improving his ability to recover and perform aerial follow-ups. While buffs to his recovery are always welcome, Acrid will also gain access to a powerful stomp attack that can only be performed if the jump button is held. The sentient meat hook will grant Acrid an extra long-range tether grab, greatly increasing Acrid's grab range and granting the poisonous dino a reliable offstage recovery option. While its range is incredible, it will also slightly decrease his grab speed. Finally, the brilliant behemoth will add explosive oomph to Acrid's smash attacks, greatly increasing his kill potential. This item will also maintain any attack speed buffs that Acrid has from Soldier's Syringe, making this item even more powerful. Next, there's the lunar items, these items being acquirable at any time as a random drop chance. When a lunar item is rolled, Newt will also pop out of the chest for a brief cameo, and once acquired, he will disappear in a flash of blue light and take the chest along with him. From this category, Acrid can acquire either Purity, the Brittle Crown, the Hellfire Tincture, or the Shaped Glass. Purity is an item that will greatly reduce the cooldown on Neurotoxin, allowing for Acrid to rapidly fire projectiles at his opponents. While that sounds destructive thanks to his poisonous abilities, the downside of Purity is that it will remove the poisonous effects of the attack, simply turning it into a fast projectile with a lot of hit stun. The Brittle Crown will greatly increase the amount of currency Acrid gains per hit, but in return, Acrid will lose currency when he takes damage as opposed to once he loses a stock. While this might not increase the amount of currency loss with each stock, it will force a more careful playstyle in order to prevent the player from going broke. The Hellfire Tincture will add a powerful AoE fire effect to Acrid's smash attacks, greatly increasing their range. But in exchange, using smash attacks will do serious damage to Acrid as well, regardless if they miss or not. This item is designed as a big risk, big reward tool in Risk of Rain, and it's the same here in Smash. Just be sure to not let it hit a firebox. Finally, the Shaped Glass is one of the most controversial items in Risk of Rain. This incredible tool doubling the damage Acrid can perform, but in return, it will cut Acrid's weight value in half. Not 20%, not 30%, in half. Meaning that Acrid can go from being a heavyweight to the lightest character in the game. This turns Acrid into the very definition of a glass cannon, and if played properly, this can carry an entire run in Risk of Rain. Surely the same can happen in a game of Smash, right? Finally, there's the equipment items. These useful tools having a 50% chance to pop up in the second item slot of all chests. Each equipment piece will have a different cooldown time and damage output, but overall, they all serve to help Acrid deal with specific character aspects that the regular items don't cover. From this category, Acrid can acquire the Samarang, the disposable missile launcher, the Royal Capacitor, and the Volcanic Egg. The Samarang will have Acrid release a wave of 3 saw-like blades, dealing solid damage before they turn around and move back towards Acrid and launch foes away. The 3 blades will spread outwards as they travel, all before converging back on the same point, this item taking 10 seconds to recharge once used. The disposable missile launcher will release a series of missiles up into the air, all before they fly forward and deal damage in a straight line in front of Acrid, pushing opponents back far and chain together hits if they manage to get hit by the first missile. While very powerful, Acrid cannot move while firing, but those looking to punish him might be in for a rude awakening if they choose to jump over him, as the missiles will explode the moment they come into contact with an opponent. In total, the disposable missile launcher will take 15 seconds to recharge, so make sure you use it wisely. The Royal Capacitor will have Acrid unleash a huge bolt of lightning in front of him, dealing heavy damage to anything in his path. While similar in appearance to Pikachu's Thunder, this attack will cover the entire vertical distance of the screen when used, all while also spiking all foes it hits, making it especially deadly against those trying to recover. In total, it takes 12 seconds for the Royal Capacitor to recharge, so try saving it for kill confirms or for when you're pushed into a corner. Finally, the Volcanic Egg will have Acrid rush forward as a series of fireballs, dealing rapid damage to all opponents in his path before reforming and sliding to a halt. This powerful advancing tool cannot be reflected or countered and will pass straight through shields, but in return, the end lag of this move will increase depending on how many opponents Acrid passes through. The Volcanic Egg will take a total of 9 seconds to recover, and it can even be used off stage as a horizontal recovery option. All of this makes up the mechanic known as the Spoils of Petrichor 5. This allowing for Acrid to become whatever his player wants and needs him to be during a fight. There truly is no mechanic in Smash like it, and in turn, there's no character in Smash like Acrid. With the heavy explanation out of the way, it's now time to discuss the moves that these items can influence as we move on to Acrid's normals. Acrid's normals will put his powerful claws to the test, with his main method of attack being slashes along with occasional bites and throwing his body at his opponent. Acrid's neutral combo is Vicious Claws, a series of claw slashes that is based on his main attack combo from Risk of Rain 2. This attack string is closed off by an inner swipe with both hands, dealing heavy damage and launching the foe with decent force. Acrid's forward tilt is Toxic Slash, Acrid performing a wide hitting slash in front of him that will hit twice. Solid poke option. This attack can be used to secure kills at higher percents, and potentially lower percents if the player stacks focus crystals. Acrid's up tilt is Noxious Headbutt, Acrid thrusting his head upwards to pop nearby opponents up into the air. A simple anti-air option with solid range, this attack is designed to start combos and catch landings, and maybe even challenge platforms thanks to its disjointed hitbox. Acrid's down tilt is Shin Sweeper, Acrid slashing twice along the ground and dealing moderate damage in the process. While similar in function to Bowser's down tilt, this move will come out faster and knock the foe upwards as opposed to away, making it more reliable for combo-based builds. Acrid's dash attack is Noxious Pounce, Acrid leaping forward and biting at the air in front of him to deal damage. While it's a powerful kill option, this move's strength is offset by a pairing of long recovery times and being unsafe on shield, so be sure to think before you leap. For his get-up attack, Acrid will slash on either side of himself, all while performing a headbutt for his ledge attack. Acrid's smash attacks will shift from basic slashes and bites to some of his more powerful abilities, all while showing off his poisonous powers for the first time. Acrid's forward smash is Ravenous Bite, Acrid lurching forward and biting down hard with his poison-laced jaws. This is one of Acrid's most powerful abilities overall, and is the only one of Acrid's physical attacks that can apply poison to his target, but be sure to take care when using it as its range is rather short. Acrid's up smash is Caustic Arc, Acrid performing a pair of downward slashes that will hit on both sides of himself. Similar in design to Sheik's up smash, this move's damage will be only moderate at best unless the player lands the sweet spot at the beginning of the attack. But thanks to the length of his arms and access to items, Acrid can get far more out of this move than Sheik can. Finally, Acrid's down smash is Noxious Flip, Acrid leaping up into the air before slamming down his stomach, causing a wave of blight to splash up from the ground and damage any opponent around himself. This attack's range is rather wide, along with it eating through shields with ease thanks to the effects of Blight. But unlike his regular poison, Blight will not act as a debuff and simply just provide damage on hit. While Acrid is no stranger to intercepting airborne opponents with his huge leaping strikes, Acrid doesn't have any exclusive aerial attacks and Risk of Rain. As a result, all of his aerials had to be made from scratch, but while that's the case, they're designed to mesh well with his grounded normals. Acrid's neutral air is Caustic Wheel, Acrid spinning around in mid-air while releasing a short-range burst of sludge to deal rapid damage and knock foes back. If Acrid uses this move to land, the sludge around him will splash outwards and deal extra damage, which works well with the fact that this is one of Acrid's safest aerials overall thanks to its startup and recovery speed. Acrid's forward air is Caustic Claws, Acrid slashing out in front of him with both claws at once to launch foes away. A solid kill option at high percents, this move's damage mixes well with a decent landing leg and a sweet spot that can result in even more damage on hit, although it's not a reasonably safe move to land with thanks to its lack of active frames. Acrid's up air is Chip Away, Acrid clawing at the air above him rapidly before performing one final slash to launch foes upwards. An excellent tool for challenging platforms and preventing his opponents from landing, Chip Away can also be used to drag opponents down and set up grounded combos with the right items equipped. Acrid's back air is Noxious Tail, Acrid swinging his tail up behind him to deal damage. As he swings his tail, Acrid will also produce a wave of caustic sludge to fly backwards, greatly increasing this move's range and damage, although the sludge itself can be reflected back at Acrid should his opponents see it coming. Finally, Acrid's down air is Macabre Smash, Acrid raising his arms up over his head before violently smashing them downwards, spiking anyone in his path. A standard meteor smash, this move is very unsafe to land with thanks to its horrid landing lag and slow startup speed. Acrid will grab his opponent with both of his hands, unless he's using the sentient meat hook, where he'll instead throw out a massive chain to hook into his opponent and pull them in close. For his pummel, Acrid will lick his opponent with his poison-coated tongue, dealing rapid but minimal damage per lick at a decent pummel speed. For his throws, Acrid will follow a lot of the same animalistic design qualities he's shown to exude throughout his moveset, these throws excelling at dealing damage and confirming KOs with the right items equipped. Of course, he can also use them to set up for combo strings or an offstage kill, but it all depends on your build. Acrid's forward throw is Crunch Circle, Acrid biting his opponent by their head or bodily equivalent and spinning around to toss them away. A simple throw that's designed for repositioning and possible tech chases at earlier percents, this is Acrid's best throw for setting up offstage kills. But don't expect to be landing actual KOs with it anytime soon. Acrid's up throw is Noxious Flip, Acrid flipping and striking the opponent with his clawed feet in order to knock them up into the air. A useful throw that can be used to either set up combos or confirm kills at higher percents, although it's not the best at either option. Acrid's back throw is Crunch Drop, Acrid biting his opponent before leaping backwards and slamming them into the ground. This is Acrid's strongest throw overall, both in terms of damage and kill power, and with the right items, this can be one of Acrid's most reliable kill options. Finally, Acrid's down throw is Macabre Drop, Acrid holding his opponent up over his head before slamming them down to the ground, causing them to bounce up into the air from the force of the slam. This is Acrid's go-to combo throw thanks to its great launch angle and low knockback growth, but do keep in mind that damage increasing items might end up harming this move's effectiveness, so be careful when designing your build. It's now time for Acrid's specials, all of these abilities being based on his special attacks from Risk of Rain 2. As the resident hybrid character of the game, these moves are designed to mesh with pretty much every potential build the player comes up with, and while some builds will improve certain specials, everything will at least have the potential to be useful under specific circumstances. Acrid's neutral special is his standard projectile from Risk of Rain 2, Neurotoxin. This move will have Acrid fire a fast-moving bolt of liquid poison in front of him, and once it hits an opponent, they will suffer minimal knockback and be inflicted with Acrid's poison for a total of 5 seconds, as previously mentioned. However, what wasn't mentioned before is the fact that, while its knockback is weak, Neurotoxin has a lot of hit stun attached to it, making it an excellent move to start or to use in the middle of a combo. Of course, there's more to this move than just being a bolt of poisonous hit stun, as with either Purity or backup magazines equipped, Neurotoxin can be fired in rapid succession, although its hit stun will greatly decay if used in tandem with Purity. Acrid can also walk back and forth while firing, meaning he can use this move to either approach or to escape. Do keep in mind, however, that as strong as this move can be made with the right items, Acrid can have it thrown back in his face by characters with reflectors, although Acrid himself does have the benefit of not being poisoned by his own attacks. It only makes sense for a being that constantly spews poison to be immune to the poison he spews. Once used, Neurotoxin will take 2 seconds to recharge, so be sure to make that shot count when you fire. Thankfully, Neurotoxin isn't the only way Acrid can spread his poison, as he can also use his side special, Epidemic. In Risk of Rain, this attack was used to poison a huge group of enemies at once and set up some easy kills, but here in Smash it works a bit differently. When this move is used, Acrid will fire a large ball of gunk through the air, and once it comes into contact with a solid surface or an opponent, it will latch onto them and begin to grow in size. After a couple seconds of build-up, the festering gunk will explode and deal damage in an area of effect, all while also infecting all opponents within range with a poison status. If the gunk gets stuck to an opponent, they do have the option of shielding the explosion in order to avoid getting hit, but this move will eat through your shield if you choose to do so make sure you time it carefully as to not get shield poked. Epidemic can also not be passed on to another opponent if it's already attached to one, so whoever gets hit is forced to either endure the damage or set up his other opponents for failure, other than Acrid of course, as Acrid cannot be harmed by Epidemic's explosion unless it's from another Acrid. For his recovery special, Acrid will utilize his main mobility tool in Risk of Rain 2, Caustic Leap. With this, Acrid will lunge through the air, all before slamming down into the ground and creating a large puddle of poison underneath him, the puddle staying active for a couple of seconds before disappearing. This recovery can be used to recover both horizontally and vertically, as Acrid can adjust his launch angle, and while the attack is mainly designed to cover his landing, Acrid's recovery can be cut short if he hits another surface, be it a wall or, more importantly, an opponent. If Acrid hits an opponent with Caustic Slam, they will immediately be launched downward and become infected with poison, meaning it can either spike an opponent trying to edgeguard him or bounce an opponent off the floor, but only the opponent hit will be infected as a trade-off. As Acrid's down special has already been explained, it's now time for the final smash. and when it comes to designing a big finishing move for a Risk of Rain character, there really isn't anything to pull from directly. While there are definitely big, threatening enemies that can appear and tear up the field, I want something to fit Acrid specifically, and from that mindset I designed a final smash that directly correlates to Acrid's lore between Risk of Rain 1 and 2. This is Void Prison. Thanks to the influx of power created by picking up the Smash Ball, the dreaded Void Reavers have been alerted to Acrid's presence. As they appear, these Void Reavers will bombard the stage with a series of nullifier bombs, rendering all nearby opponents immobile as the cinematic final smash begins. Confused as to where their target went, Acrid will fly down from above and perform a ground-shattering smash, causing the pursuing Reavers to take damage and activate their nullifier implosion. In Risk of Rain, this is an animation that would play whenever a Void Reaver was killed, and while it looks pretty, it would instantly kill anything in its area of effect, including allies and other Void Reavers. This is exactly what happens here, as, unable to run away from the group implosion, the opponent is forced to watch their world go dark as they disappear in a flash of purple light. Any opponent hit by this final smash will be instantly KO'd, Acrid himself having escaped the pack before the implosion. But to compensate for its power, this final smash can only hit up to 3 opponents at once. Also, if Acrid wins with his final smash, a prompt will appear on the screen reading, "Character has vanished without a trace," while the one who was defeated will see the prompt, "You have been detained. Await your sentence at the end of time." Both of these messages referencing the endgame text that's displayed if a player is killed by a Reaver's nullifier implosion in Risk of Rain 2. Acrid's victory theme is the main theme of Risk of Rain 2. While there are ways to win the game, Risk of Rain's endings are usually somber as opposed to big and bombastic, and I feel the main menu theme works well to represent both sides of Risk of Rain's soundtrack, as it's a melancholic song that's just energetic enough to feel like great things are about to happen. Victory animation number 1 will have Acrid leap onto the screen and cause a huge splash of poison to coat the viewpoint. Once it drips off, Acrid will be shown in front of the camera, posing triumphantly. Victory animation number 2 will have Acrid activate a teleporter, turning back to look at the camera solemnly before disappearing in a bright flash of light. Finally, victory animation number 3 will show Acrid lying on the ground, giving off small snoring sounds as he sleeps in a manner not too different from that of a dog. This is a reference to the way Acrid is shown to be sleeping at the beginning of a run in Risk of Rain 2. Taunt number 1 will have Acrid open up his mouth and stick his tongue out, caustic sludge dripping down the side of his mouth before he slurps it back up. A simple taunt to show Acrid's more docile and pet-like nature that has led to the fanbase dubbing him Poison Dog. Taunt number 2 will have Acrid look around curiously, scratching the top of his head as he does so. Having been forced away from the environments of Petrichor 5, the lands of Smash aren't something Acrid is akin to. Finally, Acrid's third taunt is his chest opening taunt, which is used to buy new items and utilize the spoils of Petrichor 5. If Acrid refuses to buy anything, he'll place the chest back in the ground and bury it like a dog. Acrid's colors will not only reference enemies featured in the Risk of Rain series, but also feature some unique colors that were normally exclusive to super rare items. While Acrid was believed to be a member of the Lumerian species by fans, the developers have since gone on to deny these claims, but he does look similar enough to the point where alternate colors do just make sense. Acrid's first and second colors are based on his color options from Risk of Rain 2, this either having the Macabre beast become a blend of maroon and green or a blend of white and purple. This second color can only be unlocked in Risk of Rain 2 by completing the game on the hardest difficulty. Color number 3 is based on the standard colors of the Lumerian, this changing Acrid to a blend of purple and red. While regular Lumerians aren't red normally, they do spit fire, and since Acrid's secondary color is also the same color as his poison, it makes sense for said color to be the same as their flames. Color number 4 is based on the Elder Lumerian, a bigger and much meaner version of the regular Lumerian that will dye Acrid's body a blend of yellow and gray, this gray being a reference to the armor they're shown to wear. Finally, colors 5 through 8 are based on the extremely rare elemental equipment items of Risk of Rain 2, each of these having a 1 in 4,000 chance to drop from an elite of their respective element type, with color number 5 being based on Ifrit's Destruction, color number 6 being based on Silence Between Two Strikes, color number 7 being based on her Biting Embrace, while color number 8 is based on Nukuhana's Retort. While these colors reference items that change the elements of the player once picked up, these colors are purely visual flair here in Smash Bros. Risk of Rain is a franchise that I, myself, only really delved into this year, namely around early to mid-September. But in that time, I found such a love for this game that I just can't put it into words. In said time, I've managed to complete the game on Monsoon as every character, unlock nearly every item, and just have a general fun time playing it. And while I know it has its player base, this video was mainly made as a way to pass this game's existence onto my audience, thus influencing you to give this game a try. While I feel that almost any character from the game can serve as a great playable option, especially if they follow the same formula that I designed, Acrid was always my favorite, and thus he was chosen to represent his franchise here on this channel. While I originally designed a moveset that was going to feature multiple characters at once, I felt that taking a step back and looking at how to build a unique mechanic and playstyle around a single character was far more interesting, and that led to Acrid being the character I chose. The best boy gets his time in the spotlight. As for whether he has a chance in Smash, it's more than likely a no. Risk of Rain 2 is on Switch, so it has its place on Nintendo hardware, but I feel it's far more believable for Acrid to become a playable character in a game like Framemakers as opposed to Smash Bros. This is also a game that released both an early access and patch 1.0 format during the DLC season of Smash Ultimate, meaning there's a high possibility that not many people paid attention to it. But I do feel that the idea of a roguelite-based character is very interesting and something that could easily be explored at some point in the future, even if it is something that'd be very difficult to balance properly. It needs to be done just right. For if not, then the results will more than likely be very rough. Still, here's to Acrid and Risk of Rain getting some publicity, and hopefully this video will give you the push you need to get it. It's currently 40% off during the Steam holiday sale, so there's no better time to hop in, grab some friends, and enjoy the horrors that await you on Petrichor 5. If you like what you saw, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that little bell icon to make sure you'll never miss a future upload. Also, if you like what I do here, be sure to follow me over on Twitter, as that's where I always make my upcoming video announcements before I do anywhere else. And if you are a fan of Smash Bros. And would like your own custom moveset done for your dream Smash Bros. Character, you can follow that link in the description to go over to my Patreon, where for $15 a month, you'll receive a custom moveset for a character of your choice each and every month. Thank you to all future patrons in advance, and please remember that I do not do requests. I know it's the season of giving, but not even Santa works for free. That's all I have for you today, but there's still one more video coming before the year ends, and this is one that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Until the next time I see you, be sure to stay safe, take care, and remember to have a good one.